I want to thank one of the subscribers of Unleash Your Magic, Alicia, for prompting this quick episode, okay, of Unleash Your Magic. So, Alicia left me a wonderful question on one of my videos that's part of the Flow with Tarot playlist, okay? If you haven't checked out that playlist, I invite you to go and check that out, okay? Do that after you watch this video. So her question was, what is the difference between an oracle deck and a tarot deck, and how to use them, how to use either or? And so I answered briefly in the comment section, but I thought this would make for an actual video. Now, the way that I'm going to answer that, or I should say the way that I have answered that and the way that I'm going to answer that in this video, it's not the only thought. Okay, this is how I look at a tarot deck and an oracle deck. What I'm going to give you is how I work with these tools. Okay, if you were to ask another spiritualist the same question, you may get a completely different answer. What I invite you to do is hear what I have to say, and then if tarot deck, a tarot or an oracle deck, or both, you know that those cards is something that you want to implement into your practice, please do your own research. Now, with that being said, and I've said this next thing before, and I want to emphasize, when you are researching and you're wanting more information, all right, to expand your practice or to even start your practice, please allow your spirit, your intuition, and your soul to guide you. Okay? Because when you do that, the information that you need, whether it's whether it's from a person, whether you're talking face to face, or whether you're a part of apprenticeship, or mentorship program to help you develop your spiritual practice, whether you are part of a group, or if you are introduced to a book or books or a documentary or a YouTube channel or video or episode. Whatever that mode of information is, understand that it's not something that you're going to have to dig deep for or rush to find or force yourself to find it or force yourself to go down some rabbit hole that could just end up leaving you confused. Allow your spirit to guide you to the information and for the information to be guided to you. All right? Because there's no rush in this. So, got it? Got it. Okay. So, the way that I view tarot versus oracle, I'm going to use a book as an example. So, here's a book. Now, if you're like me, I'm very much an artistic person. I love the arts. I love shiny things. I love loud things. I love things that are in your face. Okay? So when I choose a book, regardless of what I'm looking for, the cover, the design, the image is going to draw me in. Now, once I'm drawn in with the image, then my eyes go toward the actual title. Most of the time, that's how that works. I mean, I've had instances where I see the title, I don't give a shit about the image. So I'm drawn to the book, I see the title. Now, With titles of books, you might get some type of inkling of what the story is, of what you might get an inkling of what's on the inside of the book. But the title is a glimpse, small fraction of what's on the inside. You do not get the entire picture, you do not get the entire story by just reading the title. Yes, yes. Now, so you've got this book, you've got this title, you've got this image. Now, you're not going to just have a book that you saw that you're interested in and then you just lay it down somewhere and never pick it up again. You just lay it down somewhere and just decide, oh, I got that book. I'm not going to read it. I don't care about what's on the inside. The title is enough. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to do that. So you've got this book, you're sitting, you open it up. Now you're getting into the story. You're looking at the words. You're now invested in each word. You're invested in the character or characters that are introduced to you. You're wondering why the character is the way that the character is. You may even wonder why the name of the character is being used. You're reading the words. You're wondering why words are being used. If you see a word that you've never seen before, if it's a quote, big word, and you need to pull out the dictionary, you're pulling out the dictionary. What does this word mean? You're reading through the story. The character is developing. Even though you're reading what's on the page, you are still infusing your perspective into that character's storyline. Now you continue to read. You're getting into the chapters. Now you've got this whole image and this imagination that you have is now infused. So you're not just reading. Now your imagination is invested in this story. So now you've got this entire picture. Now you're getting the entire story. Now you're getting the patterns. Now you're understanding why the title is the way that the title is. So, going back to tarot, what is the difference between tarot and oracle and why you're going to use one versus the other? So, the title is the oracle. And I'm showing you this is a dragon oracle deck that I have. Okay? So again, equate an oracle card with the title. The oracle has an image, it has some words, but is this the entire picture? So, for example, this one is the orange dragon. This says, brings soul families and communities together, spread belonging, warmth, and oneness, bring people everywhere together. So, this orange dragon is talking about unity, togetherness, working together, community. Okay, that's not the entire story. So, we'll put that to the side. Now, the deck, the tarot deck, now is the entire, well, for the sake of this example, now it's the entire story. Now you're getting the image, you're getting the energetic pattern, you're getting a pattern of what was, what is, and what could be coming. You're getting behavioral patterns, you're getting emotional patterns, you can start to have character development with a tarot card. Okay? So let me know in the comments, if that illustration made sense to um, determine the difference between tarot and an oracle deck. Now, what I'm going to do to answer the next part of that question, I'm actually going to answer the next part of that question in a separate video. So in the next video, I will talk about how to determine when to use one or the other. And just know that you don't have to choose. But I will give you examples of when you can choose to use either an oracle deck or when you can choose to use a tarot deck. And what I find interesting, I just randomly pulled these cards, but let me just say this before we go. So, I just pulled this orange dragon that talks about bringing soul families and communities together, spread belonging, warmth, and oneness, bring people together everywhere. And then we have the 10 of Cups. Well, based on, first of all, the number 10, excuse me, number 10 is about new beginnings. Because if you just take the one, new beginnings, it's a sign of that something has completed, something is starting again. There's an elevation here. Now, if you look at the images, obviously there are people here together, celebrating together. There's no individualism here in the negative sense, because individualism is not all bad. Okay. So you can see this sense of togetherness and community in this picture. All right. So I know I said I would say this for the next video, but you can use the two together. You don't have to separate them. You can use the oracle deck or an oracle card as a way to introduce a message, as an introduction of what's going to come out for it from your tarot deck. But many times you'll find that the two work together. Okay, they're almost confirming each other. You can use it in that way. All right, that's one way. So, again, let me know if that made sense in the comment section, and I will leave the second part, or my second part to the answer, in another video.